Laura Martinez and Massimo Ricci were two of the most powerful business tycoons in Europe, each commanding empires that stretched across industries. Their worlds collided at a high-profile gala in Rome, where the tension between them was as palpable as the champagne bubbles in their glasses. What began as a clash of egos quickly morphed into a partnership, and something far more dangerous. Both harbored secrets. Laura's wealth was built on a labyrinth of questionable deals, and Massimo's empire was intertwined with shadowy figures who thrived in the underbelly of society. Together, they were unstoppable, but their union attracted attention from enemies who would stop at nothing to bring them down. It began with a risky venture. A mysterious third party, a man known only as Adrian, approached Laura and Massimo with an offer they couldn't refuse. A high-stakes arms deal disguised as a legitimate business transaction. If successful, it would solidify their power for decades. If they failed, it could destroy everything they'd built. Against their better judgment, they agreed, drawn by the promise of immense wealth and the thrill of working together. To discuss the finer details of their plan, Massimo invited Laura to his private yacht. The Mediterranean stretched endlessly before them as the boat cut through the water, the setting sun casting a golden glow. Laura stood at the edge of the deck, the sea breeze playing with her hair. Massimo approached her silently, his gaze fixed on her profile. "You're thinking too hard," he said, his voice low and smooth. She turned to him, a playful smile on her lips. "And you're not thinking enough." Massimo smirked, closing the distance between them. "I think just enough, Laura. For instance, I think about how irresistible you look right now." Before she could respond, he cupped her face and kissed her. The world seemed to tilt as their lips met, the intensity of the moment eclipsing everything else. Her arms wound around his neck, pulling him closer, and for a moment, the weight of their dangerous game disappeared. They moved to the plush lounge area on the deck, their kisses growing more fervent. Massimo's hands slid down her back, and Laura let out a soft sigh. "Massimo," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "We're playing with fire." "We've been playing with fire since the day we met," he replied, his eyes dark with desire. The next day, they met Adrian in an abandoned warehouse to finalize the deal. But something felt off. Adrian's men were armed to the teeth, their eyes darting nervously around the room. Laura and Massimo exchanged a glance. They'd survived enough betrayals to recognize one when they saw it. As Adrian began to speak, Laura interrupted. "Cut the theatrics, Adrian. What's really going on here?" Adrian's smile was cold. "You're too clever for your own good, Laura. The deal was never about money, it was about power. And now that you've walked into my trap, I'll be taking yours." Gunfire erupted before he could finish his sentence. Massimo had anticipated the double cross, and his own men burst into the room, weapons blazing. Laura dove for cover, pulling a concealed pistol from her bag. She and Massimo moved as one, taking down Adrian's men with ruthless efficiency. By the time the dust settled, Adrian was the only one left standing, until Massimo delivered the final blow. Back on the yacht, their clothes still smudged with the soot of battle, Laura and Massimo sat together, the adrenaline still coursing through their veins. "You were incredible back there," Massimo said, his voice full of admiration. "So were you," Laura replied, her fingers trailing over his bruised knuckles. Massimo pulled her into his arms, kissing her fiercely. "No matter what happens, Laura, we face it together." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "Always." Their lips met again, and this time there was no urgency, only a deep, unspoken connection. They made love under the starlit sky, the gentle rocking of the boat the only reminder of the chaos they'd just escaped.